Hi, everyone. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Theo Goldberg, and I work on the partnerships and ecosystem team at Bubble. And I'm extremely excited to be here with you all today to talk about all things Bubble and AI. So we'll give one more minute for everyone to join in. And while we do so, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat and say where you're joining from. I can see that we have people from Germany, Spain, Nigeria, Israel, Tokyo, Canada. Wow, really an international user community, which is really awesome. And one of my favorite things about the Bubble community, we also just launched a poll to see where you folks are all joining from. And so while people are chiming in the chat and introducing themselves and letting everybody know where they're joining from, I'll just briefly share the agenda that we have for today, which is packed with amazing sessions. We'll do a quick welcome and intro, share some context around why we're here and having this conversation around Bubble AI. You'll get to hear from companies scaling, from how to scale an AI startup built on Bubble. We'll have a panel of Bubble Power users that are building apps on top of AI that will share their experience. We'll also hear from some of our technology partners. And then finally, last but not least, we'll also hear from Bubble itself on how we as a company are navigating the age of AI and thinking about how this is influencing our product strategy. And so to get things started, I'll welcome Josh, our co-founder and co-CEO, to the stage. Hey, Josh.
Welcome. It's super exciting to be here. Really glad you can all join us. The turnout today is amazing. I'm super excited that so many people have decided to join us because AI is a really interesting, important subject. I think it's been super top of mind for everyone in the tech community and even outside the tech community over the last few weeks. So this is a terrific opportunity and really looking forward to this conversation. To start out with, I want to, before diving into AI, I want to say a couple words about Bubble's mission, because Bubble's mission is tied very closely to how we think about AI at all. And apologies for my video. I think it's been a little glitchy. There we go. So yeah, Bubble's mission as a company is to make software creation accessible to everyone by inventing the next evolution of programming. We think that software is going to be an increasingly large part of the global economy over the next 5, 10, 20 years. And we think it is incredibly important that everyone can participate in it as creators, not just consumers of technology. And our mission as a company is to make software creation more accessible and easier. And I want that at the back of everyone's minds, because when we think about our perspective on AI, how to use it, how to work with it, the best way of integrating it into no code and sort of the relationship informed by that. Sorry, this couple technical glitches. I think I'm back here. So just a little bit of context on what we're trying to accomplish at Bubble. If we think about Bubble's mission, the way we're trying to realize that mission is by creating the next generation of the technology stack for creating web and mobile software. Starting from letting people prototype applications, launch them, iterate them, and taking them all the way to production scale. So that's how we're trying to build that platform to enable and empower people. So the question for today's conversation with you all is, how does no code and AI fit together? I actually see it working on two dimensions. One is no code can make AI more accessible, and the other dimension is that AI can make no code more accessible. Both technologies, AI and no code, I see as very empowering technologies. They enable someone to realize a vision that they weren't able to previously achieve, and empower them to create things that they, without access to those technologies, they wouldn't necessarily be able to create. And they're extremely symbiotic. We see no code providing a super powerful front end for AI so that more people can get access to deploying AI, and it makes it faster and easier to create AI-based applications. We also see AI as an empowering mechanism for no code to make it easier for more people to build with no code and to produce no code applications more quickly. There's a lot that will go into unpacking those two statements, and a lot of the conversation we're going to have today is going to expand on this in a lot more detail. I'm super excited to go into this more personally. I'm going to have a longer conversation with you all near the end of the session, but before we go there, I would love to turn the conversation over to a Bubble user who is building with AI and hear directly from their perspective on what it's like to create with AI. So to start that conversation, I would love to introduce our VP of product, Alan Yang, and I'll turn it over to you. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you, Josh. Hi, everybody. Super excited to be here with you all today. Awesome to see so much interest in this topic. So my name is Alan Yang. I joined Bubble back in 2019, and I currently lead the product team. So I have the good fortune of being able to interact with a lot of members from our Bubble community to figure out how we can keep improving the Bubble product. But today, I am super excited to be here to interview a Bubble user who has built something pretty cool with Bubble and AI. So I'm very happy to introduce Mac Grenfell. Mac, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, thanks a lot, Alan. So as you mentioned, my name is Mac. I'm from London, the UK. Been a Bubble user for I think about 4 or 5 years now. Having a look back through my account history today, I think Byword was my 17th app. Older ones, my design skills have come on a little bit, so some there that I'm not Byword certainly looks a bit better than those. But yeah, I've been building on Bubble for a long time. Been working in the kind of AI SEO space for a while as well. And so the last 6-7 months or so, I've been building Byword as a kind of AI SEO platform on top of Bubble.
Cool. So to dive right in, Mac, could you tell us a little bit more about what your product Byword does?
Yeah, sure thing. So in a single sentence, it's a kind of long-form SEO content platform. So people go in there to generate kind of long-form articles, which they'll put on their site for SEO purposes. If you're familiar with the space, you've probably seen tens, hundreds, maybe even thousands of products that look pretty similar. So one way to understand it is to kind of differentiate it from some of those other products as different from kind of like a Jarvis or a Copy AI. So whereas those products do lots of different things with a kind of small focus on each of them, Byword is really just about doing kind of one thing and one thing only, which is going from a keyword that you want to rank on an SEO or an article title straight through to a kind of finished long form article, and really kind of automates that whole process. So you kind of go in, put your settings in, kind of what article length you want, what kind of writing style, language, and basically once you click generate, and you kind of sync it with your website or your CMS, it handles everything from there on. So it writes the whole articles with the HTML, meta tag, structure, all those things. So it's kind of end-to-end platform for just doing this one very specific thing of going from an article title or a keyword through to kind of SEO-ready content.
Cool. Thank you. Before we dive much further into your journey there, it would be great to hear a little bit about your journey, sort of where you came from in terms of background and how you found Bubble.
Yeah, sure thing. So my background was initially more in the ad side of things. So I started life as a performance marketer, kind of working agency side, in-house and freelance. Had always had a bit of an interest in ad tech and saw Bubble as a way to kind of make that more accessible. So I was always building little bits and pieces, small kind of micro apps for my own purposes in Bubble, doing bits of ad tech. And then when I was freelance, I went freelance during COVID and got a bit more exposure to different parts of marketing. So I started doing a bit more on the SEO front. And this was around about the time that GPT-3 was on waitlist. I know GPT-4 is on waitlist now, but this is a few years ago when GPT-3 was still a new thing. And I've always been super interested in this idea of using data at scale to build out lots of landing pages, and then suddenly language models come along as a really interesting way to kind of scale this process and build thousands of pages at once. So started doing contracting where I'd work with brands, and we kind of build out page structures and thousands of pages at a time. And I think a quite pivotal moment was one of those basically saying that they were more interested in working with a kind of app or a product than they were with working with a contractor like me. So that kind of put the wheels in motion thinking of productizing this, and kind of always had Bubble in mind. There's probably a period of 6 months where, when I had downtime, I was just working away on Figma mockups or whatever, but it wasn't until maybe September last year, I think, that the kind of hype around generative AI just grew so much that I had most of the groundwork laid, and as I mentioned, I'd built so many Bubble apps in the past, small little bits and pieces, that I kind of knew exactly how I would want to build this on Bubble if I wanted to. And then so the time was right, I kind of went pretty hard on it for maybe 4 weeks or so. Got a kind of landing page, MVP up, very kind of small scale in the early days, just kind of give me your email, give me an article title, I'll shoot you a sample and sign you up to the waitlist, which is letting users kind of like try the basic functionality out whilst I could kind of build the rest of the app on the back end.
Cool. So you already started describing a bit of kind of the MVP process, but what was the journey like from there to today?
Yeah, so it's kind of mapped onto, like a lot of the feature roadmap is mapped onto trying to stay one step ahead of AI as a space because it's changing so quickly. So especially when innovations come along like ChatGPT, it's a case of how do you kind of add incremental value on top of that? What kind of new features can you add that make, paying for an external product value add on top of those sorts of things? So once I had the MVP launched in mid-November and started inviting users onto the platform, it was a lot of kind of getting user feedback, just shaping the product around what users wanted and trying to, again, stay one step ahead of the game of what other article writers were doing and what kind of was coming out from OpenAI and kind of integrating that in the best way possible.
Cool. Now, could you tell us a little bit more about the technical side? How are you getting all the magic between Bubble and AI to work?
Yeah, sure thing. So Byword is a slightly interesting sort of hybrid structure. So it's not fully on Bubble. It uses Bubble for everything the user sees. So it's a Bubble front end, Bubble database, user, all those sorts of things. And essentially when a user kind of goes through the app and they create an article, this creates, so people who use Bubble here, just kind of creates an empty data type or object called an article. And then the heavy lifting, if you like, is handled in something else called Google Cloud Platform, or something called a cloud function inside of that, which is basically just a way of saying it's a bit of Python, a bit of code that lives on an external server. And this is essentially always talking to Bubble, looking for these kind of unprocessed articles or new items. And then once it sees those, it goes and kind of hands them off to something else, a bit like when you say, hey, Google to Google Home, it kind of wakes up the rest of the service. And then there's all this kind of Python that sits in the back end and handles all of the API calls and does the processing. And once that's done, it just passes it back into Bubble as a completed article. And that's what the user sees. So it's a nice way, which I think is quite useful for kind of generative AI apps, of really speeding up the kind of front end and database process, because, if the speed with which the space is changing, you don't want to be spending time building a login page or whatever. So having Bubble do all of that stuff really quickly and feeling really comfortable with that, because I've used it for 4 or 5 years now, and then just getting the Python, the Google Cloud Platform, whatever, to do the kind of heavy lifting, I think gives a really nice hybrid best of both worlds approach.
Yeah, and this kind of hybrid construction is definitely something we see quite a bit, enabled by all the different integration capabilities that Bubble has. So great use case and great use of Bubble there. But yeah, I'm curious, what are your overall thoughts on using Bubble to pursue a use case in this very hot AI space?
Yeah, I mean, naturally, I'm super bullish on it, both because it's, spinning up Byword initially was super quick. If I ever want to spin up new features, I've had a few things where I've got the MVP working in less than 30 minutes. It's just a little bit of code on a cloud platform, and Bubble, I can kind of reuse components that I've already built inside of Byword or in other Bubble apps and just get things up and running really quickly. I've even had cases where I've just been kind of talking to people over coffee or text or whatever, and we had an idea and we just put it on a fresh free Bubble app and got it working in literally single-digit minutes, less than 10 minutes. So I think given the speed with which the space is changing and the importance of just trying to spend as much time as possible on building the real value add stuff, the kind of generative AI part of the app, then I'm super happy with using Bubble to kind of automate or really speed up the rest of it and not having to worry about the hosting, the scalability, all those side of things.
Cool. That's awesome to hear. Any general advice you'd give for folks who are considering, also building an AI-powered app on Bubble?
Yeah, there's a few things. So I've covered some of them already. There's one, this is a bit specific, but something that I think isn't talked about enough and I'm super keen on, especially in the context of Bubble, which is it's kind of a growth strategy around SEO. So most generative AI apps have some sort of sampling methodology in. So users can sample byword, they can kind of get free outputs. I would guess probably 80–90% of generative AI apps have something like that. And one thing that I've seen users do a bit inside of Bubble, I don't do this with byword, but have with some other apps, is this really nice idea of, you know, let's say we're making like a cover letter writer or something. User comes along, generates a sample cover letter. We can then store this inside of Bubble as a kind of sample database, give the user the sample, let them try out the service. But we can also kind of repurpose this as a growth mechanism, putting it back into SEO. So where this ties into Bubble is that Bubble has this really nice feature around kind of building pages with a content type or a data type. So we can essentially surface the user outputs, which, you know, if you've got lots of users coming to your service, generating samples, you kind of want to get something out of this. So serving this back to users, putting it on these pages, so that if someone generates a cover letter about kind of cover letter for software engineers, you can then turn this into a landing page about like example cover letters for software engineers. And it's just so nice and natural how this works for generative AI, and also how Bubble handles it, where you have this kind of automated feedback loop. If user comes in, generates stuff, and it goes straight into your SEO and starts ranking on terms. And I literally know apps that charge thousands, tens of thousands of dollars a year for basically this functionality. So for it to be basically a kind of basic feature inside of Bubble that you can set up is super nice. I think works really well with AI products.
Awesome. What does the future look like for Byword?
So I think kind of touching on something that I mentioned earlier, a lot of AI tools, it's not too hard to build an AI tool that at one point in time is really cool and is like a value out on what you could get from ChatGPT or some other tool. I think the trick is really constantly providing value that kind of goes beyond what the other like accessible tools in the market are. And so with Byword in particular, I see this as going really deep on just this one use case of generating long form content and basically building specialized ways of doing this that you can't necessarily achieve with other tools that are very like broad and horizontal, or again, to reference ChatGPT. So there's a lot of these different, I'm calling them like custom formats, like specialized ways of creating articles that I'm looking at. One example is inputting like competitor article URLs or sitemaps, and then building tech on top that essentially kind of understands those and tries to write better versions of them. There's a few ideas of these like quite specialist ways of building articles that I think raise the bar a bit technically and start to differentiate like a kind of specialized product like Byword from like a very horizontal one.
Very cool. I'm going to take a question from the chat, from the audience. So a question for you, Mac, from a participant. What was your biggest AI challenge with Byword?
This is a pretty boring answer, but honestly, if you've been using, especially the GPT-4 APIs recently, but this kind of goes for the whole history of building Byword, they're so popular, so in demand that there are days where 80% of API calls fail. So being able to build in a way that handles this sort of unpredictability and the huge demand there is, and being able to handle all these errors is really tough. So there's a lot of logic, probably the most complex bit of Byword, and I imagine for a lot of generative AI apps nowadays, is basically handling errors and rerunning things and being able to do that in a mature way. And so a lot of my focus goes into that, and I think that's certainly a big focus for a lot of people who are building these sorts of apps.
Cool. Thank you so much, Mac, for sharing your story. For everybody in the audience, hopefully you got a chance to click on the links that were flashing by to check out Byword. We will definitely have links to Byword and their story on the Bubble website. So thank you again so much, Mac. It's always very cool to hear about what Bubble users are building. So for the next segment, I am happy to turn it back to Teo.
Everyone, thanks, Alan and Mac. Really awesome to hear the Byword story. Really excited about this next section of the event. We actually have a panel with 3 Power Bubble users that I'll invite to the stage right now. So I welcome Marina, Josh, and Albert to join me on stage. And so the way we're going to do this Power User panel session is we'll start with quick intros from each one of the users. They'll introduce themselves and they'll show a quick product demo. And then we'll move into a Q&A. So starting with you, Marina, do you want to share a quick intro before we show your product?
Yes. So, hi everyone. Thank you for attending this amazing event. Thank you, Bubble, for organizing it. I am the co-founder and thankfully, thanks to Bubble, a CTO of VoicePen AI, which is an converter from audio files. We convert audio files to a beautiful written blog post, thanks to AI. How do I show
We're about to
the
pull it
demo?
off. So thank you,
Hi
Marina.
everyone. Let's create a blog post out of your
Okay.
video files using VoicePen. I'm going to be uploading a YouTube file, but you can use all of the other formats here, including voice memo, where you can record yourself directly into VoicePen, and then the app is going to create the blog post. So in my case, it's YouTube. I'm going to paste my file here. And as soon as it's updated, I'm ready to generate my blog post. And now we wait. Awesome. So I got my email that my blog post is ready to be generated. Over here on the dashboard, I can see that my topics are ready. Let's see what that means. So out of every file, VoicePen is going to extract the topics, and it's going to ask you which ones do you basically want to use in your blog post. You can select one, many, or all of it. In this case, because we only have two, I'm going to select all of them. I'm just going to submit them, and now we wait for the blog post to be generated. It's usually around 30 seconds, and we're going to have a full blog post. And voila, this is the blog post that VoicePen generated for the file that I submitted. It is called AI Technology, Benefits and Risks for Society and Jobs. I know that that's the topic of my video. It generated a nice intro to the blog post, and then it structured each of the sections based on the topics we chose. This is the first version that you get. You also get 3 more attempts to recreate this blog post per one file. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you're going to enjoy the app. Take care.
Amazing.
Okay.
So that was a quick demo of VoicePen, which is awesome. And I think we'll share a link to check out the app. So feel free to go and engage with it once it pops up. The next person that I'd like to just invite on stage is Albert. So Albert, if you can join us on stage and share a quick introduction before we showcase your product.
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone, I'm Albert. Thank you very much. I'm super happy to be here. And I'm co-founder at Stack3, which is a decentralized agency, and we're using AI a lot. And it also has the venture building component, and this is how we lately launched our new product, Workify. And the product is basically, it's doing a full project scope of work based on the notes that you take in a client call or the recording. And yeah, let's go ahead and share the demo.
Awesome. Thanks, Albert. Let's take a look at the product.
Hey, everyone. So this is Workify. This is an app that we just recently launched. It's basically a tool to generate proposals, do project scopes based on AI. So here's how it works. We create a proposal, and here we can either add some notes about the project or upload the full recording, the audio file, and it's going to generate the transcript and create the full scope. Okay, so this is the final result, the final proposal. We can do adjustments here, adjust the hours. The entire process of scoping takes less than a minute, and we also utilize it for our decentralized agency, Stack3. Super convenient, can't compare to the old way of scoping the project.
Amazing. Really interesting demo. And then we'll introduce the last speaker and share a demo of their product before we move to the Q&A. So Josh, if you can join me on stage to briefly introduce yourself before we check out your AI Bubble product.
Everybody, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. How's it going? My name is Joshua. I am a product designer by trade. I currently lead design at a AI and ML startup called Gantry. It's founded by some ex-OpenAI folks. Essentially, we're focused on building tools that help product companies maintain and deploy and essentially improve ML models into their experiences. As we know, GPT can be a little unpredictable, and so we're helping build tooling that really just helps people kind of tame and monitor, ensure that they're doing what they should be doing. By night, I'm a no-code builder. My demo will show a project that I've been working on, in the evenings and whatnot. Yeah, I'm super excited to be here and to share this with all these amazing bubblers.
So, awesome. Let's pull up the product demo.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Joshua, and I'm super excited to be here and to be sharing some Bubble explorations with you all. So when I was first tasked with picking a project that's related to Bubble and AI, the first one that came to mind was this project called Votion that I worked on. So Votion is essentially voice to Notion. You speak some words, and it transcribes it, and then it's going to send that text to Notion. I usually build it for myself because I'm an avid Notion user, and I'm often better at just kind of like getting my thoughts out and then transcribing it, and then I'll kind of like, cut, paste, and edit. But now, with how incredible AI is getting, I started to evolve this project, and so I wanted to show it to you all today. So basically, I love simple interfaces, things that just kind of force you to do one thing. It's very clear, and so that's what this is trying to do. And so we're asking you to, just speak your mind. Basically, what's going to happen is you speak some audio, you speak some words, and we're going to transcribe your voice and generate a bunch of different bits of content from what you say. So if we go down here and I select prompts, you can see all the different prompts that I currently have configured. So it could summarize whatever I'm talking about. It could generate a Slack message. The reason why I have that one set up is a lot of the times, I'm sending updates to my team, giving feedback. And so I don't want to overthink it a lot of times. So I'll just like speak it, and then I'll have, the powers of AI help me out, as well as generate an outline, a tweet, or a blog post. And so these are the ones I've currently configured. So let's try this. So hey, everybody, super excited to be on this call with all these amazing Bubble builders. AI is super exciting right now. This is a super lame recording, but I'm trying it out anyway. Super excited for the space. Hope my job doesn't get replaced, or I don't get replaced, and Godspeed. I don't know. So it's recording the audio. Basically what's happened is it's going to send that audio to Whisper to be transcribed. There we have the transcription. And now it's just running through a backend workflow and basically doing a bunch of API calls to generate all these different content generations. And so here we have the summary. We have the Slack message, an outline, as well as a tweet. I think I had blog post turned off. But basically what's cool about this is obviously you have a bunch of bits of content that you can just kind of like immediately jump off from. If I want to regenerate, I can select this right here. If I want to, why is this not highlighting? Weird. I can favorite it, I can copy it to my clipboard, or I can send that directly to Notion. And then another cool little part is when like the title is even connected to OpenAI. So that is Votion. Excited to be sharing this with you all. Hopefully, I'll send this out soon, and if people want to try it, that'd be great. But excited to be here. Thank you for watching, and chat soon.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. That was a really cool demo. So maybe you can bring everyone on stage. So Marina and Albert. And I guess the first question that I have for the three of you is, we just saw 3 different use cases, 3 different demos. Marina with VoicePen, Albert with Work with AI, and Josh with Votion. And the first question I have is, can you tell us a little bit more briefly about how the product is built? Is it fully built on Notion, on Bubble, or are you using any tools with it? We're curious to see what type of AI integrations you're using. I'm assuming it's mostly OpenAI for the 3 of these, but we'd love to hear your thoughts. And finally, any thoughts on attractions that you've been getting on some of these early launches, either this AI product or another one that you shipped recently? And we can start with you, Marina.
Okay. So VoicePen is definitely built 100% on Bubble. And thanks to the API connector and what is possible with it and how easy it is to integrate, we basically built it in a day. So we had an idea, and just like that, we had a product. We're using OpenAI for the GPT-3 Turbo model for the API connection. But we are also using Replicate. We still haven't migrated fully to OpenAI APIs. We are using Replicate just because they allow us to upload a larger than 25 megabytes file. And since we are kind of targeting people that are recording podcasts or webinars, those are usually larger than 1 hour files. And that's why we're using Replicate to allow us to convert such big files. But yeah, so far we've been receiving a lot of amazing feedback. VoicePen is active only 4 or 5 weeks. We do have almost 5K users so far. We do have I believe we're close to 2,000 MRR, which is amazing. And we haven't gone, we've built so many products in the past, we haven't got like this feedback or this traction with any other product. I guess people really like AI stuff. And I guess it solves a big problem. Like you can easily have this beautiful blog post based on what you are talking. Even this webinar right here, we can convert it to a nice blog post.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. That's really cool and crazy to think that you're able to, go from idea to V1 of the MVP in basically a day, and then iterate, launch, and a couple of weeks later have a couple thousand users and already generating revenue, which is awesome. Moving to you, Albert, your context is a little bit different because you're leveraging AI to power up your agency, which I guess is your core business focus. But we'd love to hear more about how you built the app, how it's powered, and what you've seen since you've launched it. I think a couple of weeks ago or month.
Yeah, totally. So the reason why we built the app, it's basically it was the need of the agency to quickly scope projects, because scoping is one of the parts of the agency which makes it reduces the scalability component, right? And it worked out very well for the agency, and we decided to make a standalone product out of it and offer to freelancers and other agencies. We launched it on Product Hunt, and we have a few hundred users. It's a very niche product. It's not viral like a voice pen, obviously, but there are people who are using it, and we of course also use it, and it helps us a lot. It's fully based on Bubble and OpenAI connection. We have other tools which also utilize vector databases, which are more AI friendly, but Workify itself, it's a very straightforward product, and the UX, UI, the flow makes it very specialized on this specific thing of scoping the project.
Awesome. And so the early users, you said a couple hundred sign up, these are agencies that basically could leverage this tool for their own purposes.
We noticed most of the interest coming from freelancers. So freelancers use it mostly, yes.
Very cool. So this is more of a B2B tool that people use to augment their work. Awesome. And then moving it over to you, Josh. I know you have a day job as a designer and you're a builder at night, but would love to hear maybe a little bit more about what's powering Votion, and if you have any thoughts to share here.
Yeah. Votion is fully built on Bubble, mainly just using the API connector and then some plugins from the plugin community. I think that's one of the most amazing parts about Bubble is just the richness of what exists in the plugins. So essentially with recording audio, there's a plugin that allows me to trigger the mic, capture audio, and then save the file. And so again, I don't know how to code, so all of that is just purely no code. I think so. I started this project, I would say a few months ago, where originally I was connected to Azure. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but it was just purely transcribing it, and then connected to a Notion API. But then over time, my Bubble skills got a lot better, and I think what I just showed on that demo, I built in maybe 3 hours. But again, I think a lot of that's just spending time in the product, understanding how to connect to APIs, understanding how to just use Bubble really quickly. That allowed me to move that fast. The original, I just shared the link, so it's Votion.app. I have a wait list on that that's built up, and now that I finally have something that I think is shippable, the plan is to launch that out. But yeah, I think we're sitting around 500 people on the wait list for that, but again, haven't fully launched. And so
very cool.
Yeah,
awesome. I'll definitely jump on the wait list. So because I could see this being quite useful for myself. Awesome. The next question that I'd like to ask is maybe if we could take a step back. There's a lot of people in the audience that are coming to learn more about just Bubble and AI as beginners. They are interested, curious, looking to engage with both of these technologies. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on how did you get started on your no-code AI journey? And what were helpful resources for you in learning and getting to the point where you're able to ship beautiful products that are already in production or almost in production. And maybe we can start with you, Albert, maybe.
Yeah, sure. So regarding the bubble journey, right? That was the first question. Man, it started a long while ago, actually. A few years ago, I have a totally non-technical background. Like I used to work in finance, and at some point I just decided to do my own startup because I was super interested in tech, and so people were talking about Bubble, so I tried it out, and I just got addicted to Bubble and started building with it. And so Bubble, as Josh mentioned in the beginning, it's something that empowers people like me and people like Marina and Josh also, who have no technical background, just to pick it up and do it by themselves. Otherwise that would have been hardly possible. And where AI comes into play is I think it was when this Da Vinci model was upgraded. This is the point where I noticed how powerful it has become. It was kind of the inflection point for me, and this is where I got most of the interest, and we started really betting big on AI and implementing in our agency flows and
awesome.
Working on
Very
products.
cool.
Yes.
Would love to hear from you, Josh and Marina. So maybe we can go with you. If you can quickly share tips and tricks on how you got started and what was useful and what you'd recommend to somebody getting started on their journey now.
Should I go?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay. Sorry. I love answering this question, and since I do not have like a technical education prior to working with Bubble, I do have software experience. I was a quality assurance engineer for 10 years before that, and I do understand code. So that really helped me personally, understanding how an app is built from scratch, like how everything works in the backend, understanding the API connections and what they do. Also have knowledge in how to build a great UI, how to build a useful user experience. So things like that really helped me build very powerful apps with Bubble, but also build quickly. So you can definitely spin up a project in a day and test an idea, and if it works, just go with it. But yeah, understanding the software development basics was really helpful for me, like understanding how to structure a database so it can scale, or how to, for example, do all of those repeating groups not to fail your system or crash your app. I mean, those things really help. And I recommend everyone just to get informed and read about those things, read about setting up the app properly, and before
Awesome.
getting into Bubble.
Awesome. So basically, like being prepared, understanding how data works,
Yes.
Trying out different database schemas to get started. Josh, is there anything else that you'd want to share here? And maybe you can share, from your design background and perspective, what you think is helpful and matters in the early days of the Bubble journey.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing is just like tinker endlessly. Like I feel like just spending time in the tool is like, again, what I was saying earlier, like it allowed me to build what I just shared in like a couple of hours, but like a lot of that was prefaced by like just spending a lot of evenings like playing around. And I think like the other thing that I would just recommend, this is more just from like a product development perspective, is like approach these things as if you're like, a researcher, a scientist, like define a hypothesis and like really scope what you want to build. Like build a very simple thing and then like iterate and learn. I think like with no code, it's so easy to build like everything that it actually just like prolongs you actually shipping anything, or like, I don't know, you just never like get to a complete state. And so like being able to be really like diligent about scoping what you're trying to achieve and like measuring your results, I think are like, from just a product development perspective, like good things to practice. And so start small and just like slowly build it up, I guess.
Got it. Awesome. Yeah. So the TLDR is basically get in the editor and start building and tinkering. Awesome. Well, thank you so much to the three of you, Marina, Josh, and Albert, for joining us. Really appreciate you sharing your experience and showcasing your products. To everyone, go definitely check out their product. We shared links to the three of them, and we'll also follow up with links after the presentation. We'll move to the next section of the event, which will be around our technology partners. And so I'm really excited to invite these people to the stage, and we'll start with the first one. We have Pradeep joining us from the Microsoft Azure team. And so Pradeep, I'll invite you to the stage and let you share a little bit about what you're working on and how it can be leveraged by Bubble users. Pradeep, the floor is yours.
Hi. Hello. We are delighted to be a partner in this event and share our insights with you all. I'm Pradeep. I'm a cloud solution architect working at Microsoft. My role is to design and implement cloud-based solutions using Azure services and technologies. So if you haven't heard before, so what exactly is Azure OpenAI? It's Microsoft execution of generative AI developed in partnership with OpenAI that enables you to build and deploy AI solutions that are scalable, secure, and ethical. And we got a lot of products lined up. So let's see the benefits of OpenAI. Firstly, by effectively using AI, company can enable their workforce to do more. This means automating routine tasks and freeing up time for high value work and ultimately increasing productivity. Secondly, by analyzing data at a faster rate and with greater accuracy, company can make more informed decisions and stay ahead of the competition. Third, use for creativity and bring all your imaginations into reality. Finally, it helps to analyze customer behavior and preferences, and company can tailor the offering and create more personalized experiences, ultimately driving customer loyalty and retention. Let's take a deeper look at the available models in Azure OpenAI services. So GPT, currently we have GPT-4 integrated, and it is a generative pre-trained transformer. It's a type of an AI model that can generate human-like text based on prompt or context. It is trained on a massive amount of data. So when you give GPT a prompt or question, it can use its knowledge of language to generate a response that makes sense and sound natural. So next is Codex. It is a specialized version of GPT trained on code examples, and that helps programmers write code more quickly and easily. Third is DALL-E. It generates image from text prompts, producing image of objects and scenes that don't exist in real world, but are imagined by the model based on the text description provided. This means that if you describe a certain image in a word, it means that if you describe a certain image in a word, such as an astronaut riding a unicorn, DALL-E can create a unique and original image that can never been seen before. The final is ChatGPT, which is most famous everywhere. It is a computer program that uses artificial intelligence to take human-like conversation with people by analyzing language and generating natural-sounding responses. In practice, this means if you start a conversation with ChatGPT, this can respond to you in a way that sound more natural. Finally, here is the exciting announcement. So Azure OpenAI plugin for Bubble is a new product that Bubble and Microsoft is currently working on. Users will be able to access OpenAI's powerful models and services through Azure Cloud and Bubble platform. this is a powerful tool, and this will remove all the restriction, and it also helps you to achieve your goal faster and better. This plugin is expected to be released soon, and this will offer you a unique and innovative way to build apps without coding. For questions about this plugin, you can very well reach out to me. We hope you enjoyed the event and find it useful and inspiring. And thank you for joining us today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Pradeep. It was great to get a background on, reminder for those of us in the audience that are new to this technology of what the Azure OpenAI technology is. And I think the exciting news here is that the Microsoft team is working on a plugin. So thank you so much, Pradeep. And we will see you soon with the plugin in the plugin marketplace. So the next partner that we want to bring on stage is Jeremy Lambert, coming from EdenAI. Hey, Jeremy. I'll let you give a quick introduction of yourself and walk us through your product and how it can be leveraged by Bubble users.
Thanks. Hello, everyone. Hello, the Bubble community. I'm thrilled to be here today with this beautiful raccoon to introduce what we're doing at EdenAI and show how we can help the Bubble community to upgrade their projects. So as Bubble users, you already know all the power of no-code development, and you know that better than me. With Bubble, you can create complex web application easily and quickly without needing any code. However, as your projects grow, you may start to face challenges that require advanced functionalities, and that's where EdenAI comes in. Our API provides a huge range of AI technologies, and it will enables you to build complex features without any AI skills. I can describe a bit the different technologies we have on EdenAI. First, you can see at the right of the slide, the document parsing to process invoices, resumes, receipts, IDs, or tables, and automatically extract information from those documents. We also provide, you can see at the left, text analysis features. NLP can be a game changer for chatbots, voice interface, and any conversational interfaces. And with EdenAI, you can use summarization, sentiment analysis, keyword extraction, text moderation, topic extraction, text generation, and many other features. You can also access to computer vision with EdenAI. So in this period, you will immediately think about image generation with Midjourney and DALL-E. And of course, we have that, but computer vision is also explicit content detection, face recognition, object detection, image similarity, for example. And finally, we provide tools for the voice, so speech recognition and speech generation. So now that you listened to my presentation, you may be thinking that we are just an AI provider like Google or OpenAI. And obviously, you can think OpenAI is way more better than those guys. But in fact, you can see it right now. We are not an AI provider, and we have a special position in this market. We do not build our own AIs, but we aggregate all the AI services of all the best providers of the market. So you want to summarize text with EdenAI? Okay, you can use OpenAI service, but you can also use Cohere, Microsoft, Connexun, OneAI, or MVista, for example. And if you want to do speech recognition, let's see on EdenAI which provider is the best for you. You have the choice between Assembly, DeepGram, Google, Amazon, Voci, Rev, Symbol, Neuralspace, and I can give you more names that are available. So we studied, in fact, and we know the AI APIs market very well, and performance as well as prices can really differ between the providers. And performance depends, in fact, on your data, basically, the length, the quality, the format, the field, the language, etc. And we made, with EdenAI, all this work to standardize all those APIs in a unique one. So you only require one account, one key on EdenAI to access all the services, and it won't cost you more to use them. Our vision at EdenAI is that AI is simple, and AIs are simply tools, and those tools must be available for everyone. no matter the experiences, skills, or fields. And that's what we try to do at EdenAI, and what we now want to bring to the no-code and Bubble community. And yeah, thanks for listening to me. We launched the plugins on Bubble very recently, so you can already play with Eden. Thanks to Adrian from EdenAI, who made a big work on the plugins. And maybe to finish, our development at Eden is mainly driven by users' feedback. So please let us know anything we can do to improve the plugins.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jeremy. This is really exciting because it's a really approachable way for people to start to engage with AI. So definitely go and check out the EdenAI Bubble plugins on the plugin marketplace. As Jeremy mentioned, they launched 14 different plugins. You can see them here, and there's more that are coming. So thank you, Jeremy, and we'll move on to our last presentation from the technology partner with Vincent, who will share all about Photoroom and what they're working on. This is interesting because this is APIs that can be accessible through the API connector that unlock really interesting and exciting use cases.
Hello everyone, thank you Theo for having me today. So like you said, I work for Photoroom. We are a company whose mission is to empower commerce photography. Photoroom is available through a mobile app and a web app, but our technology is also available via an API, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. So first, we offer a background removal API. It provides the same background removal technology than what we use in the Photoroom app. It's a robust API that's been in production for some time now, and that processes over 1 billion images every year. And it provides the best removal, the best background removal that's available on the market. For an example, we have Campsider, who are Bubble users that use our API for their Google Shopping images, and using our API has allowed them to significantly decrease their cost per click on Google Shopping. Then I want to talk about a second API we have that leverages our generative AI technology. So you can see an example of the result using a product from Cure, another Bubble user. Each of the three pictures on the right, for each of the three pictures on the right, the background has been entirely generated with our API to fit the original product image you can see on the left. And so this API allows you to quickly iterate over existing product images by enabling you to quickly create new product images that are specifically tailored to a market, a user segment, an event, whatever you need. So I prepared a short demo of how this API works. So I guess this is when, Theo, you will start playing the demo. Photoroom's generative AI technology to quickly iterate on product images. All you need is an existing product image, like this one, and thanks to Photoroom's technology, you can generate a completely new background for your product. So let me show you how it works using the playground of our API. The API needs two arguments. For the first one, the image URL, you just paste in the URL of your product image. And for the second argument, you write a prompt that describes the background you want. Here, I'm going to ask for a background that will put my product in a minimalist setting. Then you just send the request to our API, and you immediately get a beautiful looking background that's been generated specifically for your product. This API is currently in private beta. You can join our waitlist if you're interested to try it out. So thank you all for your attention. I have a last slide for you with a recap of all our API endpoints. So let me move to the last slide. Perfect. So here are our three API endpoints. You can see there is a third one I haven't presented, but if you want to learn more about our API or get your API key to try it out, you can visit photoroom.com/API. Thank you for listening to me, and thank you, Theo, for having me today.
Awesome. Thank you, Vincent. This was really interesting, and hopefully it gives a good understanding of all the different ways Bubble users can engage with AI, right? Whether it's through the soon coming Azure plugin that's coming, or in the plugin editor with Eden, or directly building up API connection with APIs such as Photoroom. So thank you, Vincent. And this marks the end of this section of the event. And it brings us to the last section of the event, which is one of the most exciting ones and that we've all been waiting for, is talking a little bit more about how Bubble itself as a company is navigating the age of AI. And I'd like to invite both Josh back on stage and Anita, who's an AI expert and actually the co-founder and CEO of VoicePen, to have a conversation on that topic. So Josh, Anita, the floor is yours.
Amazing. Thank you, Theo. Thanks for all 1,000 of you just listening right now. And I saw it in the comments right now that we should build an AI app that's going to basically compress the accents. So if you can build that for me next time I'm talking, please do that. But excited to be here. Josh and the Bubble team, thank you for inviting me. We're going to talk about my two favorite topics, no code and AI. So a little bit about me. My name is Anita, and I run a no code and AI studio. But I also run a AI newsletter, which is called The Prompt, where I try to explain complex AI to founders and makers, such as yourself, through some examples, resources, links, technical documentation, and stuff like that. So today, it's a very interesting, this is like a very interesting session because Josh and I will be talking about how Bubble actually plans to navigate this age of AI.
Yes,
so let's
absolutely.
get started. Josh, are you ready to share your AI secrets?
Anita, thank you so much for being here. Anita's a real expert in this area and has so much experience. So I'm really looking forward for this conversation.
Yeah, likewise, and thank you for the kind words. So I would love to start with a simple comparison, and we all know here what GitHub Copilot has done for developers, right? I think that around 46% of the code written in GitHub is currently AI assisted or written by the Copilot, and we are also right now seeing what GPT-4 can do. It can write code, even from images, from text. It can invent puzzles and all of that. But I think that the mix of these large language models together with no code platforms such as Bubble can make a real impact and something that is going to be more lasting.
Yeah. So
what are your plans on that front?
Here as being absolutely tremendous. Just like Copilot can spit out code, underneath the hood, no code is basically a language as well. Bubble apps can be represented in a textual format, and we're working on ways of integrating AI to generate apps in that format. We think the really exciting thing about no code plus AI is that when a tool like Copilot spits out code, if you're not a programmer yourself, it's hard to interpret what you're getting. It's hard to iterate on it. It's hard to proofread it, double check it, make sure the AI isn't getting confused and writing some horrible app that does something you don't want it to do. We think AI spitting out no code instead of code is much more powerful because it's much more interpretable, understandable, and the barrier to access is much lower.
I definitely agree, but I'm more interested to learn, what are your plans? How do you plan to actually integrate AI in Bubble?
There's a couple things we're working towards concretely. The first one is sort of like entry point is basically having AI just help people answer questions about Bubble, right? Like there's a ton of knowledge out there, but it takes a while to sort through forum posts, to sort through our documentation, to browse videos on YouTube, and something that basically helps you get to an answer really quickly is an amazing starting point. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. The next thing we're working towards is Bubble having an AI-assisted editor where you can do things like ask a question like, hey, could you help me, shape this landing page so that it looks, more formal, or could you make it look more casual, or could you add a workflow that enables you to click a button and send an email to the person who just signed up, and having the editor sort of understand that and walk you through that or do it for you rather than having you build that sort of by hand.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like as a Bubble user myself, and probably I can talk for other Bubble users as well, using Bubble to build these apps, it's really interesting, but there is a learning curve as well to it. And I feel like this AI assistant editor can help a lot of beginners as well to just shorten that learning curve and start to build these apps even faster than previous. Great. And I do agree, like even with the current like integrations that we can build with Bubble, where we are able to just use like big language models like GPT-4, image models like DALL-E, like Stable Diffusion. You basically set up an API and you get a language model in your app. Like this is something that was so crazy to think about 2 years ago when we were building Bubble apps, and now it's here and it's so easy. And we've heard that you're partnering with Microsoft. There is EdenAI. They have a bunch of amazing plugins as well. But I feel like many people are still exploring the field and they need a lot of technical documentation. They need a lot of videos, they need a lot of events talking about how to actually do this. So what are your plans around that?
As making Bubble as easy to learn and use as possible. So following on this event, we plan to publish a bunch of sort of step-by-step and like pragmatic walkthroughs, either in blog form or video form, helping users sort of navigate all that complexity, because it can be overwhelming, right? Which model do you pick? Which plugin do you use? How do you assemble things step by step? And we're going to be producing probably a lot of articles, frankly, because we think there's just so much exciting territory here, and we'll be sharing with this audience, because I think the people who've made it here today are precisely the people who could benefit the most from clear walkthroughs and guidance.
Yeah, definitely agree. Like I think from our polls, 73% of the participants are still exploring. So I feel like most of the people here are gonna find those documents very useful. I just wanna say that this is really interesting. Like we're no coders, we can build these apps really fast. Add AI to that, it just extends that power. And what's next, right? And I think that we're also kind of experiencing a bit of AI anxiety right now, where everyone wants to build an app, everyone wants to build on top of OpenAI and stuff like that. But if I know something about you guys at Bubble, is that you don't just act on hype, you just really make like reasonable decisions and community-driven decisions. And I know that you're launching an AI residency this summer, so
I think
I would love to hear more about that.
Great point about sort of how the hype cycle can escalate. Like we've definitely heard a lot of people getting, very worked up, both in positive ways and negative ways, about the impact AI is going to have. And my perspective, right, is like AI is going to be big, it's going to be super transformative, but like any technological change, like both the hopes and the fears are going to prove a little extreme, and we'll learn along the way. So the AI residency is a program where over the summer we're recruiting 2 amazing AI researchers to do a ton of exploratory work on Bubble to figure out exactly how you use Bubble and AI in different product combinations in order to like see both what's technically feasible and what product experience is going to be easiest for our users. So the point of the residency is a couple fold. The first point is we're in exploration mode right now, right? We want to make sure that our core product team maintains really focused on shipping sort of the bread and butter features that our community is working towards. And we don't want to get so caught up in all the excitement about AI that we lose our focus on it. So the idea is to have a couple people who are almost like a little bit separate from the main team, but who could be totally focused on AI to sort of explore the space of possibilities. And then the other thing I'd say about it is very experimental, right? Like, I think when you have a tool like Bubble and you kind of imagine what we were talking about earlier in the conversation about, what AI would look like in the Bubble editor, I sort of gave a high level overview of like, saying like, change the shape of your page or, add a workflow. But the actual way that plays out could look pretty different, right? Like you can go from, a sketch to like generating a design. You could go from a verbal description. You could give it like step-by-step instructions. You could ask Bubble to explain back to you what it has built, right? Or how, workflows you build have worked. So there's a ton of really interesting exploration we want to do. And that attitude of sort of exploration and curiosity is sort of how we want to approach the AI era.
Yeah, and I like that. I feel like right now we're all like very excited about ChatGPT, like communicating with these language models through chat. But I feel like coding is the best use case where these language models can be extremely helpful, because code is like mostly deterministic, and put no code on top of that, like there possibly a lot of multiple ways how we can help assist that. Yeah, and probably like 10 years from now, we're gonna be looking at GPT-4 saying, well, this was like a buggy technology. Why were we so excited about this? Amazing. I think we have 2 more minutes for 2 questions. I posted a tweet yesterday. We got interesting questions. The one that is like most actively asked is that a bunch of users have reported that there is an API timeout issues when they're trying to connect GPT-4 with Bubble. So
yeah,
are you looking
I know it's kind
to fix
of
that? What was the current
that
plan on
this
that?
new release came out, and then there's issues integrating it with Bubble. Basically, the problem is with Bubble's API connector. If we don't get a response after a certain amount of time, we try to basically try again to maximize the odds that we get a successful response. But when you have an API like ChatGPT using GPT-4 that takes minutes and minutes to respond, you sometimes never get a response within the threshold that Bubble is waiting for. So we've actually already built a fix for this that we've deployed to some of our customers on dedicated boxes, because it's very safe to turn it on for one particular customer at a time. We're investigating the safety of deploying that fix to the entire set of apps on Bubble. We just want to make sure we don't break API connections that are relying on that retry behavior, but we should have a solution for that in the near future, and we already have it working for apps on dedicated. So looking forward to being past this little stumbling block and into a world where the latest version of OpenAI works seamlessly with us.
Yeah, and I think like this is the issue with GPT-4, because it's a bit of like smarter but slower model, and that's why we get that timeout issue. But all like million bubblers of us are expecting that fix, so excited to see it. The second question is, and I feel like this relates to the point that most of the Bubble developers are still exploring AI with Bubble. So someone asked if you have any plans for a hackathon organized by
exciting
Bubble
idea.
on AI and
We
no-code.
love it, and it's something we're exploring. No concrete promises or timeline today, but I think it would be incredibly fun to see what this group could do if sort of unleashed in a hackathon format. So definitely something we're thinking about on the team.
Yeah, I was organizing hackathons back in the day, and I feel like hackathons are a great way not only to do like networking, but then to actually learn the tech and learn to code. In this case with Bubble, just to basically learn how to integrate Bubble with AI and like just to brainstorm about ideas. This was amazing, Josh. Thank you for sharing all of this. I think that we're gonna wrap it up here. I'm excited about the future with Bubble and AI. I think that we all are. You've built a tool that changed a lot of our lives, so thank you for that. And we're looking forward to seeing what's next.
Thank you so much, Anita. Really appreciate you coming on. And yeah, we're pretty much at the end of our event today. Before we all take off, a few last parting thoughts, and I'd love to share some of my reactions to what we've seen. First of all, like, this is true whenever I interact with Bubble users and the Bubble community. I am continually impressed over and over again by the passion and the excitement, both of the people we saw on stage and the just amazing products they built and all the energy they've poured into it. Our partner ecosystem, which is incredible. Like, there's amazing work happening with people integrating with Bubble, and the community listening, and like as usual, the real conversation, the real webinar happened in the chat. Like, it's always amazing to see the rapid fire stream of everyone's thoughts and responses. So love the passion and excitement. Other takeaways, right, is that things are moving super fast in the AI space. This is definitely early days, right? So I think everyone who is building stuff with AI and thinking about how to integrate AI needs to come in with a very flexible mindset, and sort of a mindset that the technological landscape is going to keep on changing and keep on evolving, and what's possible today might look very different from what's possible tomorrow. So I think we've heard that theme of a fast iteration. I think the attitude, I loved Josh's comment earlier that the key is to tinker endlessly, because I think that's the trick of it, right? Like, that's how I learned to program in the first place. That's how a lot of people on the Bubble team picked up their skills, whether it's design, product management, engineering, marketing, just like sort of a constant like practicing, trying things, playing around with the latest technologies. And I think I'm hearing a real sort of tinkering creative energy coming out of the conversation today. So some of my reactions to it. Yeah, really excited by the event. Before we close out, just a couple reminders and next steps. First of all, I would love to keep this conversation going. We're going to send out an invite to AI/no code Slack community that you're all very welcome to join. I would also encourage you, if you haven't already, to check out the Bubble community discussion forum at forum.bubble.io. There's an amazing community there, and it's a great place to connect, network with, and learn from your fellow no-code and AI developers. As mentioned, we're going to be publishing some technical deep dives. I saw some commentary in the chat that a lot of people would love to see sort of more of a like step-by-step, how do you actually build this stuff? And that's something we're definitely interested in providing. And then a quick reminder that the AI residency I mentioned, the application deadline is this Friday. So if you are an experienced AI researcher and you'd love to help us create this exciting vision of the future, please apply. We'd love to have you join. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to close out the event now, but it was absolutely great to meet you all, hear from you all in the chat, and hear from all our fantastic presenters. Thank you.